Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan Booz. I'm a Postgres advocate with Redgate Software, and this is day 6 of Advent of Code. I'm slowly working through this using only Postgres and SQL. Hopefully, again, as we go, the puzzles get harder. I may have to eventually use something like PGSQL to try and solve some of these problems. But I'm on day 6. As I've said in previous videos, I know I'm a week or so behind actually posting these. My goal is simply learning. It's not about a leaderboard or anything of that nature. It's just to learn SQL and Postgres better. So day 6 was, again, an interesting challenge. This one, mostly because I struggled so much with day 5 and that recursive CTE, that after reading the puzzle, that just became what, the path I chose was to use a recursive CTE to solve this problem. I had some interaction with the community and realized probably could have done it even a little bit more simply with something like a window function. I may go back and do that later. I haven't done that with this example, so I'll show you how I solved it. Day 6 basically said you're given this device and it gets this stream of information, a bunch of letters, and you have to be able to differentiate. It's broken in some way, but you have to be able to differentiate when the start of a packet marker exists. And so the way, it's just the string of characters that do something, but you need to be able to identify when you get a start of packet marker so that you can do something with that information. And a start of packet marker simply is 4 characters in a row that don't repeat, right? A, B, C, D would be a start of packet marker. But if it's A, B, C, A, that is not a start of packet because there's a duplicated A there. And so they gave us some examples. Here's this long string, and the idea is you have to, you have to find, now in this case, you have to go at least 4 characters, right? So the absolute minimum number of characters to process would be 4. In this example, it's MJQJ, so J is repeated, that's not it. Keeps going, and eventually you get to, let's see, the first packet marker here would be, I forget what they said, the J isn't repeated. I forget, it's the 7th character, I think, right? So there we go, it's J, P, Q, M. Those 4 letters are not repeated, so you had processed 7 total characters to get to that point. And that's the puzzle. Find out how many characters you have to process to get to that first non-repeated set of 4 characters. So again, for me, this is what the puzzle input looked like. You can see there's lots of repeated characters in here. Somewhere in this very long string, I forget how many thousands of characters this is, I apologize. Somewhere in here, there is a set of non-repeating 4 characters. So how did I approach that? Well, as usual, I went ahead and created a table, created a text column, and imported that data. And what it looks like is down here, right? So that's what we just saw in the text file. So again, for me, the easiest thing to do was to say, hey, select from that file. It's 1 row. And I'm going to go ahead. It's recursive CTE. I'm going to select 1 as the position, 4 as the end position. So I'm going to select the first 4 characters. I'm going to say string array. All right, so I'm going to take that string, turn it into, I'm going to take that string, turn it into a bunch of 4 packet characters. That's a 4 character arrays. My apologies. So if I were to, let's see, do this, I should have found a slightly better way to show you this. Let me just show you what that does really quickly. All right, so if I were to do that, right, so I get the first position is the first 4 characters. You notice that Z and Z repeat. And so now I'm going to go to the next row, and I'm going to say, hey, go ahead and just, it's a basic cross join. I'm simply going to keep processing this string, moving 1 position at a time and taking the next 4 characters. So I end up with a lot of, let me get rid of this. So I end up with, let me just say select star from tuning, right? I just end up with many, many, many arrays of 4 characters. And then I'm simply going to say, hey, for me, unnest it, and just do a count distinct. And the first time I get a count distinct, I'm getting the M position. I can decide what that N character was. And so if I didn't limit one, let me just do, this isn't what I wanted to do. So the count distinct is on this thing that I've unnested. So each row, I'm unnesting that one row. I'm counting the distinct characters in there and saying equal to 4. So that's how I approached it. Again, I probably could have very easily done this with some kind of window function, doing like maybe, preceding, for each character, preceding 3 characters to get them out and do some comparison there. Probably have to go back and look at it later. And then the second thing was to say, hey, look for essentially the first time that you can process 14 individual characters in rows. So that is like a message, I think is what the puzzle actually said. So now start of message, right? There's a start of packet, and then there's a start of message. So the start of message indicator is 14 distinct characters. So really just had to change one thing. I'm going to select 14 characters at a time. I just had to update these to be 14. And then I'm just going to iterate one set over and over and over again. And when I get 14 distinct characters, I get the answer there. And so that happened to be M position 3059. So again, that's how I approached it. It was a way to take the string, get all the individual sets of 4 characters, so that, or 14 characters as the case may be, so that I could do the comparison. I did think to do, for instance, something like for every row that comes out, I could have done an array comparison. Are there any overlaps between these 2 arrays? When there's not an overlap, right? When there's no overlap in some way, that might be an indicator of, that I've found something unique. So a couple of different ways I could have approached it. This was just the easiest way to do it in a few minutes. So hope that's helpful. Take care.